Wouldn't it be nice if every time we start to do something stupid, someone would intervene before we did it? You know, like jump out and scream.
Don't do
Of course, that person is probably already your spouse, and you're doing a lousy job of listening to them, so maybe it wouldn't help after all. But what if I told you that right now you are possibly doing 5 things that undermine your nonprofit's success? Would you want to know what they are? Chances are you're doing at least one of these, so stick around and hear the list. It just might help you out. Hi, I'm Greg McRae, founder and CEO of Foundation Group, and welcome back to our 501c3 University channel, where we strive to make nonprofit issues understandable. So I'm talking today about 5 things that hinder your nonprofit success and get in the way of you accomplishing what you want to see for your nonprofit. Now, I hope you're not guilty of too many of these, and well, if you are, it's fixable. Let's get started. Mistake number 1 is not being clear about your mission. So before you stand up and say, "That is not my situation," hear me out. In fact, this lack of clarity takes many forms. And it could be that your internal team, they totally have the mission internalized. You eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff. But you're just not doing a very good job of explaining it externally. In other words, your insiders get it, but your audience is a little unsure what you do. Or maybe you as the founder, you get it, but you feel like even your internal team members, they're all marching to a different drum beat. And if that's true with your insiders, then it's definitely true for your audience. The third possibility is that you yourself, the founder and idea person, you're somewhat of a moving target. You see where I'm going with this? Lack of clarity is fatal to your cause. You simply have to have all of your team members rowing in the same direction, and you don't want any misunderstandings in the marketplace about what your mission is. Now, I can hear some of you protesting, "Hey, we're an animal shelter. How much more clear do we need to be?" Well, I don't know, but if all I know about your mission is that your nonprofit is an animal shelter, I really still don't know much about you. Do you focus on dogs and cats, or only dogs? Do you take in other animals? What about livestock animals? Are you a no-kill shelter? Does that matter to you? Does it matter to your donors? I could use any number of hypothetical organizational types, and the advice would be the same. First, make sure everyone on your board, all of your employees and volunteers, everyone involved in your work can articulate what you do and why. If they can't, you can be sure that your potential beneficiaries and donors don't fully get it either. Spend time here. Really think about your messaging. So when you think about St. Jude's, you instantly know what they're about, right? They're a children's research hospital for critically sick children. And you probably also know that St. Jude's never charges families that get care there. That's what I'm talking about. That's clarity. Make sure you're being just as clear. The second critical mistake we see is organizations that get discouraged because they just can't seem to get people to care as much as they do. That's a feature, not a bug. In other words, it's just the reality that you have to accept. Don't forget that you are the one that was so drawn to this mission that you have sacrificed time, talent, and maybe treasure to get involved in trying to bring your solution to the table. It's perfectly natural for your passion to be elevated beyond those who are not part of what you're doing. Your job is to compel them to care. Go back to mistake number 1 about clarity. This is critical when it comes to fundraising. Sticking with our earlier theme, you might be able to generate an acceptable level of donor support from just those who are passionate about animal rescues. Chances are, though, you're going to have to reach beyond that. And to do that, you have to find a way to effectively tell your story. Think about that sad ASPCA commercial with the Sarah McLachlan song in it. It's so cringy that they made a mean Busch Light beer commercial this year for the Super Bowl with Sarah in it. It was hilarious. But as excruciating as that ASPCA commercial is, guess what? It works. People by the thousands donate because of it, many of whom, by the way, don't spend their average day thinking about abused dogs. What I'm saying is that getting the larger community beyond your inside circle to care is not automatic. You're going to have to drive interest and keep driving interest. This never stops, so set the pattern now. Mistake number 3 is not cultivating your donors. Getting that first donation from someone is a huge success. It's hard work, and it brings a lot of gratification when a supporter comes on board. But here's what often happens. Your fundraising efforts tend to focus almost entirely on generating new support, and your current donors get neglected. Maybe you've heard it said that in business it's many times harder and more expensive to attract a new customer than it is to hold on to an existing one. Well, the same is true for donors. But are you consistently thanking your donors every time they give? Before you say you don't have time to do that, let me just say that there are great ways to do some of that stuff automatically with a donor CRM or something similar. You don't have to pick up the phone and call necessarily. Make sure your donors are on your email newsletter list. Be consistent about putting out communications to your supporters. But that said, as my fundraising guru friend Sandy Reese teaches her clients, some donors deserve more attention than others. I'll give you an example from an organization I served on the board of. It's a private school, and a particular donor gave a matching gift of $1 million to help pay for reconstruction after the huge flood that hit Nashville back in 2010. Now, I hope it's self-evident that an automatic email thank you from our donor database wasn't going to be sufficient. In fact, the headmaster nurtured that friendship over the years, and when the same school got hit by a tornado in 2020, guess who was there to help out? That same donor, who to this day has remained publicly anonymous, by the way. Your situation doesn't have to be this extreme, and I certainly hope your facility doesn't experience the types of destruction visited upon our school. But cultivating donors you already have goes a long way toward locking in that support for the future. Mistake number 4 is not prioritizing compliance. Now, you were wondering when we would get around to something that our company Foundation Group is involved in, weren't you? When I say the word compliance, I'm talking about your tax, your accounting, and your regulatory compliance. Who's doing your bookkeeping? Do they know what they're doing? Would you know if they didn't? And are you and your board seeing financial reports on a regular basis? What about your IRS Form 990? Did that get filed on time? If not, Uncle Sam's got some hate mail headed your way, and he's got his hand out too. What about fundraising? Have you registered in every state in which you're generating revenue? Did you know that generating revenue without registration can result in some pretty hefty fines and maybe even an injunction from the Attorney General's office? The point isn't to scare you. It's to remind you that as important as your mission is, you will never see progress towards your mission if you don't keep your compliance house in order. Call us if you need help. We provide these services to nonprofits so that they can indeed focus most of their energy on mission. And finally, mistake number 5, getting lazy about any of the items we covered in 1 through 4. All right, some of you are thinking we got lazy ourselves with number 5, but we really didn't. Work with nonprofits for as long as we have, and that's 28 years in business now, and you start to see a lot of patterns. And one of those patterns is nonprofits that start strong, but eventually getting bogged down in the day-to-day and losing sight of the fundamentals. Look, just like in business, this stuff is never on autopilot. These things that I'm talking about require diligence and constant attention throughout the life cycle of your nonprofit. Sarah McLaughlin's Sad Dogs are still on TV, and so are the St. Jude's kids. Why? Because letting any of this slip means that you will inevitably see your mission success start trending down the backside of the bell curve. And that's not what you want to see. Well, that's it for today. I hope this has given you something to think about. Keeping your hand to the plow is the only way you will ever see success. It's hard work. It takes consistency. But hard work and consistency pays off. Do not get weary in well-doing. Thanks for watching. Now go serve your community. Hey, do me a favor and don't navigate away just yet. We would really appreciate it if you would hit the like button below, as it really helps get our content recommended to more people. Subscribe if you haven't already, as we have great content coming your way on a regular basis. Finally, you can click the little bell icon to be notified of new content when we post it. To learn more about Foundation Group, you can visit us on the web at www.501c3.org. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.